Hi people, Chili here, and welcome back to this 5-minute review where I focus on the new Ministry album, Moral Hygiene. Is this another clean-cut industrial banger from the band, or is it an amoral release? Alert Level starts off the album, and it's a cracker of a track, but something feels odd about it. It doesn't feel as rigid as the other material that I remember, and it's not a negative. On the contrary, it's a pretty catchy track. What I can't shake is that this song gives me Rob Zombie vibes, and I guess that's why I dig this track a lot. Good Trouble is the following track, and this song sees the style from the following track continued. This song is not as musically chaotic as other tracks on this album, but it doesn't stop the message that is being said. It's an average track though. I think there are better songs ahead when stacked up compared to it. Sabotage is Sex is the next track, and this features a guest vocal appearance by Jello Biafra of Dead Kennedys fame. Jello is timeless. I love his delivery and vocal style, and I thoroughly enjoyed his inclusion on the Ministry track here, which really fits in, especially as the song goes on, feeling like a march in its big guitar riffs and sound. My only negative about this track was the Saint Anger type of snare throughout. Luckily, this is not over the top in production, so it doesn't stand out as much. If you enjoyed this track, I would recommend checking out Jello's track with DOA called Full Metal Jack Off. Hey, another sexy title.
Oh, behave!
Disinformation is an interesting track. It reminds me of Ministry of old. Highly sampled audio cues, jagged and filtered guitar riffs, pounding double kickers with sharp drumming, and the bass really ties this song together. This song sees the band returning to a more traditional style they are very well known for. The song feels dark and foreboding at the stages, and it is a really solid track. Search and Destroy is the next track, and this is a cover of the song originally by the Stooges. And sure, the cover is interesting, but it barely holds a candle to the original. It's a slow version, and it takes away the tenacity felt from the original. It's searching for something, and it ain't destroying shit. Believe Me follows, and what we have on this track is a bass and drum intro for a while, before the addition of guitars and vocals, as well as cues from TV channels. It sounds like a Killing Joke song with overdubs galore. It's a pretty average track in my opinion, except when the acoustic guitars kick in, and trust me, that's when it makes an interesting change of pace. Broken System is an interesting track. This is definitely one of their most ambitious tracks as it takes its cues from Eastern music, using sitars for the intro and drums from this style. When the guitars kick in, they continue the riff for the song, and it is a breath of fresh air. I highly recommend hearing this one. We Shall Resist is the next track, and say it with me people, but this is a slow burn. It takes a few minutes before the band is added, and it just builds up very slowly. I get the feeling that if this song was performed live, it would be without the band on stage and with videos playing so the band could have a quick smoko. At minimum, it's atmospheric given the following track. Death Toll is the next track. I've said this before, and that is that no musician should do songs about COVID. This song does provide, however, an interesting direction regarding the subject matter. The oddly rhythmic track plays over several overdubs, with the standout lines being a repetitive female voice saying the death toll is, and followed by a number. And this grows throughout the song. It does an interesting job pointing out our morbid fascination with numbers and death. TV song number 6 is the closing track, and it continues the theme of the TV tracks found on several previous albums. And this follows the path of previous TV songs. It is probably the most similar sounding to early 90s Ministry on this album, and it is a dope track. Highly recommend hearing this track. There is a lot to take in on any Ministry album, and this album is no different. To a degree, each album is kind of a time capsule for the current geopolitical scenes. If you are unfamiliar with Ministry, then they are probably the creators of industrial metal and incorporate a lot of audio samples from, amongst things, news reports at the time and place these samples throughout their tracks. This album covers a lot of political themes this time, which I won't go into too much, but it does include samples from many famous audio clips such as Greta's "You Will Not Get Away with This" speech, to several audio logs from Trump and of course COVID outbreak news outlets. Ministry are certainly an odd bunch with Al at the front, overseeing their sound. Despite being around for nearly 40 years, Al does not seem to be showing signs of slowing down. In researching the band, it's interesting to see no existing original members except for Al, but they stay very true to their sound, which is a feat unto itself. Looking at their past members is a bit of who's who of metal. Former bass players, for example, include Paul Raven of Killing Joke and Prong fame, as well as Tony Campos of Static X and Soulfly, and currently Paul Diamore, the former bassist for Tool. I don't have time to list them all, but it's definitely worth a read. The album itself grew on me rather quickly. It's a noble album worthy of the Ministry moniker. Past fans should enjoy these tracks, and new fans could listen to this too. But if you are hearing me and have never heard of Ministry, I would probably recommend starting at Psalm 69. The album highlights for me were Alert Level, Sabotage Sex, and TV Song 6. And this album has earned a 7 out of 10 in my view. An overall solid performance from the band.